Well, this conflict here between Israel and Lebanon is playing out around the world, of course, but it's being noted particularly acutely in the Arab world. And the response has not been what many expected. Raghida Dergham is the senior diplomatic correspondent for Al Hayat, the leading Arabic newspaper. She joins me from New York City tonight. Raghida, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Tucker.
Are we overstating the disapproval that Arab governments are showing toward Hezbollah? That really has been the headline here in Israel and in the United States. Oh my gosh, you see Arab governments essentially taking Israel's side in a war. This is precedent-shattering, obviously. Is that overstatement?
Yes, to say that they are taking Israel's side in the war, it would be an overstatement. But certainly it's true that many Arab governments, the majorities, were critical of Hezbollah because somehow Hezbollah acted while the government was absented in their decisions. So therefore they were instrumental in bringing the country into this havoc that the Israelis are pouring on Lebanon and the infrastructure of Lebanon and the civilians of Lebanon. But there are right now calls from the Arab countries for a ceasefire, and in the international community, the issue is to cease fire now or not to cease fire, and when then. And therefore, there are differences emerging. Some believe that the continued armed solution, if you will, that the Israeli intent on disarming Hezbollah through military operations only will probably eventually backlash because of the cost it's inflicting on Lebanon.
The cost it's inflicting on Lebanon, tell us about that. I mean, were you surprised, do you think other people who follow the situation here were surprised, that of all the hotspots in this region, Lebanon has found itself in the middle of a shooting war? Lebanon is, I would have to think, one of the richest, Beirut certainly one of the richest places in the Middle East. Was it a shock?
You know, Tucker, many Lebanese are saying, take that war to your own homes and take it to play it out between each other. For example, if it is the Syrians and the Iranians who are supplying Hezbollah, and if it is Syria and Iran that both Israel and the United States are accusing of doing this, and that is probably quite correct, then take it there, take it to them. Stop sacrificing this country just because it happened to be the Lebanon that is permissible, if you will. People are tired of that, and the final analysis, the quick fix, whether it's military fix or diplomatic fix, is not going to really resolve the issue. Even if Israel wins militarily against this organization, Hezbollah, in this war between a state and an organization, Israel needs to understand that it needs to win the peace with its neighbors. And that will require really understanding what does it take. It takes an end of occupation and getting rid of this conflict once and for all. We need to go back to the Palestinian issue, and we need for the United States to have a conversation with Iran so that Iran stops to play with others' lives so that it can position itself regionally and internationally.
But there is a feeling, Raghida, and I think I agree with it personally, that Iran is unreasonable, that there is a fanaticism you see in the leadership in Tehran that makes that government very difficult to negotiate with, even to have conversations with. What do you think the response in the larger, predominantly Sunni Middle East would be if there was a war between Israel and Iran? I mean, would that be entirely a bad thing from the point of view of, say, Egypt and Saudi Arabia?
Well, I'm not so sure it would be bad from their point of view if the other option, if the alternative is to have Iran play its war out through Arabs, whether it is in Lebanon or otherwise. The problem is that many feel, and I'm one of those, who feel that there will be no confrontation, really, not likely, between Iran and Israel, because they have somehow a continued détente between them. It's that historic accommodation that they have had in the relationship. Now, therefore, it is necessary to find out what's next. If that is the case, shall we just expect for further destruction of Lebanon and only that while we wait for the deal to be made later? It is going to be prolonged, we hear, but is that going to be a deal at the expense of the country called Lebanon, or are we going to see a change in the Israeli policy? Take it to where you think it's coming from. Stop just destroying Lebanon.
It is, I think, no matter where you are politically, it is tragic to see that city and that country destroyed. Raghida Dergham from New York, thanks very much.
I thank you, Tucker.